Can you blame me? No, I think not.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, the renowned chef and best-selling author of
Anthony
Kitchen
Bourdain
Confidential.
was a man who saw the world through a lens of uncompromising authenticity. He was a chef who pulled back the curtain on the restaurant business for the first time. Not the glamorous white tablecloth version, but the truth. He showed us tyrannical chefs ruling kitchens like military boot camps and taught us why we should never, under any circumstance, eat fish on a Monday. But his work was always about more than food. It was about how a bowl of noodles or a cheap beer could be a universal language of bridge routine people who otherwise had nothing in common. He had it all. The books, the shows, the global adoration, but inside, there was persistent, gnawing fear. He described himself as a mediocre chef who had stolen a car, driving it as fast as he could, eyes glued to the rearview mirror, waiting for the police to catch him. This analogy is one of the most poetic and pure way to describe imposter syndrome. Despite the evidence of his genius, he felt like a fraud. And to understand why he felt that way, we have to go back to the dock in France where the recklessness began.
Even with all that,
The psychology of Anthony Bourdain started with denial of authority as a child. He was already cultivating recklessness he couldn't quite control. The turning point wasn't a graduation or a first job. It was a bowl of soup on a family cruise. He described the moment as enlightening, but in a way, it almost sounded like horror. It was a sensory shock that worked something up, something he couldn't control. Then came the outing, on the same trip to France, while his parents went to a fancy restaurant, leaving him behind in the hotel. Anthony's resentment grew into a sharp, jagged curiosity. He escaped, just to find himself on a dock with a local fisherman. He tried a raw oyster for the first time. To Anthony, that salty, slimy piece of ocean was more impactful than losing his virginity. This wasn't just about taste, it was about risk. It was about the thrill of the forbidden, and the power of exploring where you weren't supposed to. The curiosity became a double-edged sword. He made him a great storyteller, but it also made him a lifelong seeker of the high. Bourdain's early career was defined by refusal to be normal. He couldn't hack the college identity at Vassar. He felt misplaced in the crowd of normality. While his peers were studying for exams, Anthony was washing dishes to fund a drug habit influenced by a druggy crowd and his girlfriend at the time. Anthony was in need of something different. He dropped out. He chose the heat. He chose the kitchen trap. He saw chefs as rock stars. They lived a life of rampant infidelity, heavy drinking, and drug abuse. He compared them to pirates, a dysfunctional mismatch of outcasts who rebelled against the norms of society. He was drawn to the carefree indulgence, but the pirate ship has a dark side. The kitchen fosters the dysfunctional. It's a culture of toughen up or leave. It creates a toxically masculine environment where you romanticize the grind and the abuse of your own body. Bourdain survived it, but at a cost. His early years were derailed by heroin and cocaine. He called himself an untrustworthy coke sniffer. Self-resentment and self-loathing, the idea that he was untrustworthy, became a foundational part of his psyche. Even when he got sober, the spoiled, narcissistic person he used to be was always whispering in his ear. 2 decades in the trenches finally led to Kitchen Confidential. The book was a lightning bolt. It thrusted him to stardom and gave him a cult-like following. The world saw a grit-stained hero with an uncompromising authenticity. The 2 decades were too much for him to change his personality completely. The mental problems cultivated in the kitchen was a shadow he was unable to shake. The depression, the anxiety, the self-loathing. It was too much. But for Anthony Bourdain, the stardom only fueled the imposter syndrome. The mental issues he faced throughout his life were a catalyst for his struggles when international fame hit him. He used the kitchen masculine bravado as a shield. In the kitchen, you don't talk about depression. You don't talk about anxiety. You hide behind the work. He was a spokesperson for reform later in life, but for years he was trapped in his own masculine persona. This unfortunate mentality was a large reason why he never spoke up. Film director Morgan Neville noted that Anthony's drive was predominantly due to his syndrome. He couldn't slow down. He never learned what it meant to just be. He was a man who felt he had to keep moving, keep filming, keep writing, or else the police would finally pull over the stolen car. Anthony's personal life was tumultuous as his career. 2 marriages, 2 divorces, a daughter he loved but a schedule that kept him a stranger in his own home. He often said he had a tough time expressing his emotions to his loved ones, leaving him feeling like a freak. The depression followed him like a plague. On June 8, 2018, in Carlsberg, France, the country where his journey began, the car finally stopped. The world was shocked. Maybe we shouldn't have been. When you look at the trajectory, the risk-taking kid, the addictive personality, the imposter syndrome, and the crushing weight of cynical depression, you see a man who was always running. Anthony Bourdain was so much more than a media personality. He was a pivotal figure who tried to change the world's culture, one plate at a time. He taught us to be authentic, even when it hurts. He showed us that food is a universal language, but he also showed us that even the most successful among us can be fighting a war that no one else can see. He saw the world, but he could never quite see himself.